All right, this is Brian Johnson with Finance and Commerce. Pleased to be joined today by Tina Hoye, who is a commercial real estate veteran, president of NTH. Tina is one of the first female leaders in Minnesota's commercial real estate industry and just announced her retirement recently. And NTH, by the way, is a real estate and project management firm helping clients make smart real estate and construction decisions. And it's a women's business enterprise founded more than 30 years ago. And so, Tina, first of all, thank you for joining me today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Great. Well, I just gave a little bit of a brief intro about NTH and your decision to retire. Tell us first of all about that decision after nearly 40 years in the industry. Um, Tell us about that and why you're stepping down now, and was it a tough decision to make?
It was not a tough decision to make. NTH is a great firm. They're in a great place. We have strong leaders in Anna Costigan and Paul Johnson who will carry the baton beyond me. Um, I'm approaching one of those notable birthdays
Mhm.
this summer, and it's kind of always been my goal to be able to retire at 65. And so, the firm's in a good place. I'm reaching that milestone, so kind of all the stars have lined up.
Well, good deal. And when is your actual last day on the job?
Today.
Today. Wow.
That's why I'm smiling.
And we're speaking here on it is the 29th of May.
Yes,
So
yes.
congratulations on
Thank
that.
you.
What are your plans for today? Just tying up some loose ends and uh,
Yeah, there's all that loose ends of exiting a firm, so that, and there's still a few client things to worry about, which I'll be doing along with my partner Anna. So, pretty
yeah.
good day.
Are people going to have you on speed dial for a while now, just in case they have questions?
You're absolutely welcome to. Yeah, happy to answer questions, although hopefully we've been spending the last several months transitioning things, so hopefully everything's in good shape.
Good deal. Well, tell us a little bit more about NTH and what distinguishes you from others in the industry.
Well, one of the first things that comes to mind is we are independent. We focus on representing the users of real estate. Oftentimes that's a tenant, might be a corporate owner, might be a nonprofit owner, but we don't represent landlords. So that keeps us independent. Another distinguishing thing is our integration of both real estate services and project management. So when a client has a real estate requirement, it might require both sets of services. If, for example, they want to establish a new headquarters, we can help them find the site, negotiate the purchase, put budgets and schedules together for construction, and then manage that process through to the end, whether it's remodeling a leased space or building a completely new corporate facility. So,
Mhm.
um, other things that are unique about us, we take a very different compensation approach to our firm. A typical brokerage office, everyone is paid on commission. You eat what you kill. Here we are all salaried, which provides a more team-like atmosphere. Everybody helps everyone out. Everyone has everyone's back. I think ends up providing better service to clients because every client is important to everyone. It's not just the project that you may be working on that where your compensation is going to come from. So
Hmm, great.
we're I think the only thing I'd add to that, if I can, we're very community service based. We encourage our staff to be involved in the community, whether it's volunteering for a habitat build or serving on boards, either of professional associations or nonprofits. We really think it's important to be invested in our community.
Great. And just looking at your website, it looks like one of the projects you contributed to was CHS Field. What do you recall about that?
Well, that was my partner, Paul Johnson.
Uh-huh.
He had actually worked for a brief period of time for the Minnesota Twins while they built Target Field. And so got very involved in the design and construction there. And then he took those skills and we were able to work for the city of St. Paul, managing that project on behalf of the city. That eventually obviously became CHS Field for the Saints and for Hamlin's baseball team. So
Mhm.
great experience working with the city of St. Paul, and that led to other projects with the city, including Palace Theater and helping out with Allianz Field as well.
Great. Some couple of great projects there.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about how you got into commercial real estate.
Is dumb luck a good answer? I, so as you said, I've been doing this for nearly 40 years. 40 years ago, when my husband and I decided to relocate back here from North Carolina, he had been in the military down there. We were both looking for jobs, and I answered an ad in a newspaper. Used to be the way before the internet, you
Mhm.
found a job. I answered an ad to go work for two guys, Russ Nelson and Ed Brayman, who had started a small real estate company representing tenants, and they just needed support in the office. And I could type, I could do a spreadsheet, and do a little bookkeeping. And so I really learned the industry on the job. They were both great about delegating work and getting me involved in client stuff very on. So it really was on the job training.
Wow. And at what point did you realize that this would be a long-term career for you? It
You know,
sounds like you started out pretty humble beginnings.
yes, that's a good description. Um, I would say probably 3 or 4 years in. I got my real estate license. I went back to school to get a master's in finance, um, because I thought that was important to the work. Um, and then in 1993, uh, Ed and Russ parted ways, and Russ and I and our third partner, John Teets, started Nelson Teets and Hoye, which became NTH. So I was pretty committed at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. And have you experienced pretty dramatic growth since those early days? Tell us about that and what fueled your growth.
Well, we always, as partners, wanted to stay involved directly in client work. So we started as three owners plus one staff person, so four people, and have grown to be 10, sometimes 11, just depending. But we've purposefully kept it um, small so we can also all do the work and not just manage people because
Mhm.
we all enjoy the direct work with clients.
Great. Um, so i- it's one of the few women in a leadership role in commercial real estate. Tell me about that and what do you think the industry can or should do to encourage more diversity or to get more women involved in leadership roles?
Certainly has changed a lot over the years. You know, when I was starting out, if I went to a professional organization meeting, I'd be one of a handful of women in the room, um, which at some point maybe feels like a bad thing. You could spin it into a positive by saying you stood out, you were memorable, you didn't
Hmm.
look like one of the other sea of suits that were in the room. So there were some positives to it. Um, what I've seen and noticed over the years that the brokerage part has been hard for women to get into because of the compensation structure. Um, and it's also hard for people of color to get into because of the compensation structure. You have to have other sources of income, let's say, to let you succeed in a commissioned environment. So, other parts of the industry, for example, property managers, embraced women in those roles much sooner, I think, than the brokerage industry did. But we continue to make progress. Um, I'd say to help that, I think organizations need to look at compensation and benefits and things like that if they want to attract more women and attract more people of color and provide some stability in compensation, at least more starting out, so that people can take the risk because it takes a time, to build a list of clients and work that you can become self-sufficient.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what would your advice be to a young woman seeking to break into this industry?
Um, I'd look for a firm like ours where it's small and you can learn a lot really quick. Um, we don't have silos. We do all kinds of different projects for clients. Um, so that'd be one thing I'd suggest. The other is you can never know enough people. And so if you want to be successful in this industry, you have to get out from behind your desk. You have to be involved in professional associations. You have to be involved in your community and do things to really expand your network because you don't know just which meeting might lead to something. And so that's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. Is that kind of your roadmap? How you how you attain your success? Is that a big part of it?
Well, I have been fortunate to be really actively involved in the community. So,
Mhm.
um, in professional organizations like MinCar and the Building Owners and Managers Association. And I've also been very involved. I was head of the St. Paul Area Chamber of Commerce on their board. I've been on other charitable boards such as Catholic Charities, currently on the Friends of the St. Paul Public Library Board. All of those are just good ways to get your name out, get the name of the firm out, make connections, and do good in the community. You can't do it just because you might meet someone. It has to be an important cause for you, but it's very valuable for developing business relationships.
Hmm. Yeah, and looking at commercial real estate sector as a whole, there have been some concerns about the economy and things of that nature. Where do you see things headed, and do you see any particular sectors that might be doing better than others in the coming year or coming months?
You know, Industrial has been strong since the pandemic and continues to be strong. They're achieving rents significantly higher than they were 5, 10 years ago, and rents high enough to justify new construction. Office market continues to struggle, and part of that is occupancy. People aren't working from the office every day. That's meaning reduced needs for office space. Part of it is financing. Commercial mortgages are not 30 years. They typically balloon at 5 years, so you're refinancing on a regular basis. And a lot of folks are struggling to refinance their office buildings because their occupancy is down and their interest rates have gone up. So that's been a real problem, and it's not going to resolve itself in the next 6 to 12 months. That's going to take some time.
Mhm.
So, we need obviously a lot more housing. I think everybody knows that, but construction costs are high, making it hard to make those pencil out, particularly for affordable housing. So there's still going to be challenges there. I saw recently, you know, fairly new housing project that's going back to the lender. So there's some struggles in that market as well. So,
Hmm. Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit more about what your plans are for retirement now. Do you plan to travel, spend time with family?
it will be a lot of the usual stuff. I look forward to a pretty quiet summer this year. I've joined a golf league. I haven't golfed in a few years, so it's nice to get back into that. I have two beautiful grandchildren that I will see on a regular basis. And then saving some travel for the fall. I'm going to go to Scotland for several weeks. So,
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Have you been there before?
Yes, my father was born and raised there, so
Oh, terrific.
been there several times.
Yeah, it sounds lovely. So anyway, well, thank you again for your time, Tina. Any other thoughts before I let you go?
Um, I would just say that this has been a wonderful industry to have a lifelong career in. The people are just terrific. And certainly anyone that's considering it should reach out. Folks are always willing to meet, and explore it.
Great. Well, congratulations on a great career and enjoy your retirement.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thanks, Brian.
Yeah, thank you.